When you're playing for Travis Green in Utica there, you're in your what year pro? Fifth, sixth?
Uh, yeah, I played 7. It was my 6th year.
Okay, so you're
So it was
sixth.
my second to last year.
Players and parents and coaches need to realize that one, you're pissed off about getting scratched, but two, when you're in the stands, you're not able to play games and I guess develop like a first or second or third year pro would be. But at that point, you had already found what, your foot was fully in the door and you knew what the AHL level is like to play. So at the same time, like when you're in your early first or second years,
Yeah.
a pro, you want to be playing games.
Well, and that's
learn up in the stands as well, right? So just given on situations, but given on
I think the other thing is to understand too is like, and this is what we all struggled with this, and my brother-in-law, like I said, is in Cedar Rapids and got multiple schools too. Is we, especially in our younger year pro and even in college and youth hockey and stuff like that, we always get wrapped up into like what our coaches are thinking, what are the GMs thinking and stuff like that. Like, why am I getting healthy? I played really well the other night, and just because a guy got healthy, one guy got healthy, I'm getting bumped and stuff like that. Where we have a draft pick who's not playing that good, but they continuously play him, right? So the mental side of it too, I think is so many people's Achilles heel in the sport is trying to understand what your coaching staff is trying to think. And it's so easy, right? That, and cliche to say it, but like you have to be able to block that out and control what you can control. It's not pouting when you're sitting on the bench, you're pouting after like during practice and stuff like that. You get out there and you do the same thing you do every day. It's consistency, right? And that's what they want at that level. They want to see guys that are consistent, like that don't, you want to play on your emotions, but you don't want your emotions to take over, right? And they want to see guys, you're going to get healthy, and they want to see guys that are going to get pissed off and be, work even harder than they already work hard, right? But when you think about that, there shouldn't be a difference between how hard you work from before you got scratched to after you got scratched, right? It should be at that constant level of This is the tone I set for every drill. This is what every one of my guys is going to know when they go into a battle drill they're going to get when they go in there with me, right? So I think that's a thing that's a lot of kids struggle with. And to be honest with you, how many players have we played with, right? Best talents in the world, they'd get sat in the middle of a game because they did bad turnover or something like that and completely just shut it down, right? And then like you see these guys that have all the talent in the world, right? But then mentally they face a little of adversity and they completely just shut down, right? And just in life in general, when we keep talking about how you pull hockey away from, how you pull hockey into the real world and wherever that may end for everybody different in their careers and stuff like that. But like you can't just go all on emotion. Like you can't do it. The most successful business people don't react on emotion, right? They set a constant for how they are, and then they prepare for it. And if something doesn't go right or they fail, right, they continue the same constant with a little bit of changes and the same work ethic. Just they change their alternative or route.
Becomes routine and habit.
Yeah, and that's like you talked about it. You got to develop that when people your parents are going to, the parents are going to teach a little bit of it, but at the end of the day, you got to take onus on yourself and create that. This is what I think, right, is going to keep me better than the other guy, right? And this is what works for me, right? This is what gets me to that next level and constant, because everyone's going to be different. You know what I mean? How everyone trains. I mean, you look at guys like, you look at Phil Kessel, right? It's not the same regiment as, a big jack guy in NHL, the way they train. It's just different. But the way that his game is played and the way he's adapted or trained and stuff like that. So you have to figure out what works for you and kind of, but just find that avenue and be consistent in it.
Yeah. And also too, discovering your role, right? Like the guys that have to play that grinder energy style game, playing simple, taking pucks instead of dangling everywhere, which, that's not quite in their game. Like the guys need to figure that out. And I think that that also comes within. Yes, you need guidance, but it comes within and knowing with hockey sense and hockey IQ of what's kind of around your limits too as well.
Yeah, and that's that's one of the other things that I did when I first walked into when I got called up to Utica. I'd never met Greener. Greener had never watched me play. It was scouted by one of their scouts. But, I walked in his office, and I was in one of the, when he was getting to know me, I kind of finished the meeting off with, what do you need? Like, what do you need on your team? What keeps me here? What keeps me in your lineup? Like, what piece of the puzzle that you don't have right now that you need, right? And he's like, I just need someone I don't have to worry about and who's going to play hard. Fine, done. Because what it does right there, that little conversation or that little question right there exactly sets my tone for the rest of the year, right? And how to stay out there. If I am that person, he's going to keep me there, right? It's when I start to find that role, what he's looking for and what he needs, is when you're going to get sent down. Yeah. Right. He's looking for, like, every team, every really good coach is looking for a specific piece of the puzzle. Right. And that's one of the biggest things I learned. And we kind of talked about it earlier, going from college where you're a prolific goal scorer and all this stuff, and you're used to getting points all the time, to, I'm just here. I want to keep my job and I'm going to keep moving up in the next level. So how do I fit a puzzle piece that no one else is bringing, right? A skill guy who can shoot the puck hard, do the right things, and it's going to drop the gloves here and there, right? So I think once he did that, it set a tone for me too, because then I knew what the coaches expected of me. I think a lot of kids don't ever know what the coach expects of them. They just expect from – a lot of kids get in this mentality like, coach expects me to score goals and don't get scored on, right? But if you actually have a real conversation, and that relies on coaches too, right? But if you actually have a real conversation with your superior or your coach or your management, they can give you a direct role, right? And then you can contour your game and adjust your game to fit that puzzle piece that they're looking for. And that's what's going to keep you there. Because at the end of the day, it is a team sport.
So
right?
have you ever